Hey everybody, welcome to Vice Grip Garage. Today I'm going to be your host because Derek is out of town for a few days and my going to town rig has a ton of issues that need to be addressed right away.
Derek Bieri built Vice Grip Garage from the ground up, transforming rusted, forgotten cars into rolling masterpieces and gaining fans from all around the world. But behind the roaring engines, behind the viral videos, and behind the confident smile viewers loved, something went terribly wrong. Unexpected betrayals surfaced inside his own shop, and challenges pushed him right to the edge. Derek's journey took a shocking turn that no one, not even his most loyal followers, could have predicted. What exactly happened to him, and how did it threaten everything he worked so hard to build? Stay with us as we uncover the devastating details that nearly derailed it all. The woman behind the wrench, Jessica Bieri, played a far bigger role than most people realized. While Derek's charisma, humor, and raw skill brought people to Vice Grip Garage, it was Jessica who quietly carried the real power behind the scenes. Jessica was not just Derek's wife. She became the essential engine that kept the family, the shop, and the growing YouTube channel running smoothly. From the very beginning, she stepped into the shop, learned the ropes, and took on responsibilities that stretched far beyond anything the camera ever showed. She handled logistics for every project, making sure every tool, every part, and every vehicle was ready when needed. When it came to long road trips or drag events, Jessica coordinated everything: packing, fuel, tire swaps, schedules, supplies, and even the smallest details like snacks for the boys. She often described this lifestyle as a constant balancing act, juggling her role as amateur with the non-stop demands of our rapidly growing YouTube business. Derek and Jessica tied the knot in a small heartfelt ceremony surrounded by close family and friends. Their wedding marked the beginning of not only a lifelong partnership, but also a professional collaboration that would shape them. Even early on, it was clear that Jessica's support would be crucial to Derek's dreams. She encouraged him to take risks, celebrated every milestone, and helped him navigate the storms, both personal and professional, that came their way. Their marriage blended love and ambition, creating a foundation sturdy enough for the family to grow right alongside the channel. Their family dynamic became one of the reasons Vice Grip Garage felt so authentic and relatable. The kids appeared on camera, sometimes helping, sometimes just watching with curiosity, and viewers could feel the warmth and teamwork that made the garage more than just a workplace. Jessica's role was subtle, but vital. She was Derek's partner in every sense, helping him transition from a corporate job and a traditional technician role into a full-time creator. She managed the chaos so he could focus on creating, filming, editing, and growing the channel. Without her, the immense grind of running a channel, raising a family. But Jessica wasn't only a manager or organizer. She was a true collaborator. She helped shape content ideas, assisted with planning, discussed which projects were worth taking on, and served as Derek's most trusted advisor. Her presence ensured that Vice Grip Garage remained a family affair rather than a solo endeavor. Fans may have initially come for Derek's energy, humor, and mechanical talent, but many stayed because they could sense the love, support, and family unity behind Thaylen's. Then came the turning point. When Jessica stepped back, even briefly, everything changed. Her absence created a gap far wider than anyone expected. Suddenly, Derek had to handle both the creative and operational workload alone. The careful balance that had kept the channel thriving began to wobble. Tasks piled up. Deadlines became harder to meet. The warm family atmosphere that made the channel special felt different, almost strained. Cracks that had quietly existed beneath the surface finally started. Now it is time to reveal just how much Jessica's steady hand had held everything together and how this entire journey had truly begun. The rust, the roads, and the rise. Derek's story starts far from YouTube's bright lights on a quiet farm somewhere in the North Dakota, Wisconsin, and Minnesota region. From a young age, he lived surrounded by machines. Tractors, trucks, tools, and fields shaped his childhood. This early exposure didn't just teach him mechanical skills. It taught him patience, discipline, and a deep appreciation for fixing things that others thought were beyond saving. He learned to understand engines, to listen to the sounds of metal and fuel, and to embrace the grind that came with every repair. After his farm days, Derek stepped into the world of auto repair and eventually into corporate roles. The corporate path offered predictability and stability, but it could never match the thrill he felt inside a garage. He wanted more than the repetitive routine of a 9-to-5 job. The spark for creation was already burning inside him. His first attempts at YouTube were humble, filmed with a taped-up iPhone inside a dusty garage filled with old tools and big dreams. When people later asked about the rough production quality of his earliest videos, Derek always said that authenticity mattered more than polish. If things were a little rough around the edges, then so be it. That was real life. From these modest beginnings, Vice Grip Garage slowly took shape. Derek focused on what he loved most: budget builds, rescuing barn-find cars, and showing step-by-step how ordinary people could restore vehicles with their own hands. Early projects like the restoration of a 1968 Buick LaserBoer were not just mechanical tasks, they were invitations to a community of people who shared his passion. Viewers witnessed the sweat and the struggle behind each build, the rust scraped away, and the long drives taken to breathe life back into machines that had been left for dead. Each video became a bridge between Derek and a growing audience of enthusiasts, dreamers, and fellow tinkerers. The channel's rise was built on grit. Every engine that roared back to life. Every road trip to pick up a forgotten car. And every long night spent filming added to the legend of Vice Grip Garage wasn't just content. It was a reflection of Derek himself. The rust he scraped off cars mirrored the obstacles in his own life, and his climb to success was both literal and symbolic. But as the engines roared louder, the cost of perfection began to weigh on him. The cost of perfection. Derek often talked about working 7 days a week, driving long distances between shops, and the grind that forced him to miss precious family moments. He openly admitted that chasing his dreams came at a personal cost, saying that the hours on the road had cost him seeing my family very much. The very thing that allowed Vice Grip Garagito grow also slowly chipped away at him. Before YouTube, Derek had known stability. His corporate life gave him a steady paycheck, predictable hours, and time for family. Walking away from that security to pursue content creation full-time was a huge gamble. The stakes were higher than ever. He needed to deliver videos consistently, keep fans engaged, and maintain the reputation he had built from nothing. There was no safety net, only deadlines, sponsorship obligations, and projects that demanded attention. Among the many builds he took on, some became unforgettable fan favorites, like Independence, a 1972 Chevelle that he described as torn, tattered, and scarred, but it never gives up. Independence represented more than mechanical strength. It represented Derek's life. Every weld, dent, and scratch was symbolic of long nights, sacrifices, and emotional battles he fought in pursuit of excellence. Yet even the satisfaction of completing a project couldn't erase the weight of fatigue. Behind the scenes, burnout lingered, silently growing. Long hours meant missed family dinners, milestone moments, and rare celebrations. As Vice Grip Garage grew more successful, Derek felt increasing pressure to keep the momentum alive, pushing himself far beyond what one person could reasonably do. The cameras kept rolling, the engines kept roaring, but the man behind the success was beginning to question the true cost of his dream. Then came the decision that stunned everyone. The great escape from Minnesota to Tennessee. For Derek and his family, moving from the Minneapolis, Minnesota, Wisconsin region to Tennessee wasn't just relocating. It was a strategic decision that would shape winters in the North were brutally harsh. Derek explained that for 3 to 4 months each year, he could barely produce content. The frozen ground, the icy air, and the bitter cold made working outside nearly impossible. Snowstorms delayed filming. Temperature stalled projects, and the environment created constant setbacks. Tennessee offered something the North cold: freedom from those limitations. The move promised several practical advantages. Tennessee has no state income tax, which eased financial pressure on the growing business and family. Travel time to car shows, events, and filming locations decreased dramatically, allowing Derek to spend more time creating content instead of spending endless hours driving. The warmer climate allowed for longer working seasons, easier filming conditions, and a consistent schedule that viewers relied on. The family could also enjoy a more open and adventurous lifestyle. One that offered their children the precious gift of space, space to explore the land, to breathe, to grow up with room to roam freely. Something that simply wasn't possible during the crowded and snowbound northern winters they had grown used to, but the relocation was never just about these practical benefits. It was also an escape from the constraints that had slowly begun to weigh heavily on the family and the brand. The freezing temperatures, the endless long drives, and the high costs of maintaining northern life created tension and limited the possibility of growth. Moving to Tennessee offered a chance for true sustainability. An opportunity to protect the family, the brand, and the fragile balance between the two. For Derek, this transition became a way to reclaim control over his life while still pursuing the passion that had fueled him from the very beginning. The new home and garage represented fresh opportunity. Yet with every new chapter comes a feeling of vulnerability, weaving behind everything familiar meant stepping into the unknown. The family walked away from close friends, daily routines, and the comfort of what they had spent years building in Minnesota. Every decision carried risk, and the success of Vice Grip Garage now depended on how quickly they could adapt to an entirely new environment. And yet, even in this promising setting, challenges waited for their moment to strike. One winter day, long after the move, Derek would find himself facing a test that reminded him just how unforgiving the world of cars and the world around him could be. The Blizzard and the Mustang became symbols of that test. One particular project, a 1979 Fox body Mustang, would turn into a defining moment that pushed not only his skill, but also his heart. The car wasn't just a build, it was a symbol of resilience, much like his earlier project, Independence. A 1979 Chevelle, which had captured hearts with its memorial paint honoring 9/11, had shown viewers that even something battered and broken could rise again. The Mustang carried a similar weight, but this time the stakes were deeply personal. The winter weather in Minnesota added an almost cruel layer to the challenge. Frozen ground, icy conditions, and short daylight hours slowed every step of progress. Time constraints piled up and deadlines hovered like dark clouds over the garage. The physical cold mirrored the emotional storm Derek felt inside, the fatigue of long hours, the pressure of delivering content, and the lingering sacrifices that had cost him so many family moments. All pressed down on him, every wrench turned and every bolt tightened became a battle against both the elements and the exhaustion threatening to crush him. Yet this blizzard of challenges forced something vital to the surface. In the middle of the storm, Derek rediscovered his why. He remembered why he had left stability behind. Why he had poured his life into Vice Grip Garage and why the grind, the sacrifice, and the struggle were worth it. The Mustang became more than just a car. Each spark of the engine, each roar echoing through the shop became a declaration that he could push through any freeze, any deadline, any fatigue. It was proof that he could still rise, rebuild, and reclaim the passion that had driven him from the start. This build was transformative. It reminded Derek that even in the harshest conditions, literal and emotional, progress was always possible. The Mustang roared back to life, scarred but unstoppable, much like the man behind the wrench. Fans watched not just the revival of a machine, but the quiet triumph of resilience, the kind that comes from pushing beyond limits and refusing to give up when the storm seems unending. But just as Derek found his rhythm and reclaimed his focus, a new type of storm began to brew. This one wasn't made of snow, ice, or crushing deadlines. It was born from betrayal coming from inside his own garage. The robbery that shook the garage became another chapter in his journey. Success has a way of attracting attention, not all of it welcome. For Derek, the garage had always been a place of passion, hard work, and creativity. He rehomed field-fresh rides, managed logistics for events, and poured countless hours into projects both big and small. Then on a day, that trust was shattered. A theft at the shop shook him deeply. Though the details of the missing parts or rare components remain murky, the impact was painfully real. There was loss, frustration, and a stark reminder that even the strongest walls can be breached. The sting wasn't just about monetary value. Each stolen part represented hours of planning, effort, and dedication. Builds meant to inspire and teach now felt violated. The Mustang, the Chevelle, and other beloved projects had always been about connection, about sharing the joy of restoring cars with fans who understood the grind. Suddenly, the garage felt vulnerable, and Derek felt the weight of responsibility press harder than ever. But adversity often brings unexpected lessons. The reaction from the community was immediate and overwhelming.